Hi, I'm Michael Owen and I'm thrilled to join Weeks as their global brand ambassador. In football, success comes from precision, speed and strategy. Every move matters. With 1,000 plus trading pairs, you can trade spot, futures and more. And security? Weeks leads the way with Plus, a 1,000 Bitcoin protection fund. Join me on Weeks, where new wealth is made.
Hey legends, how are we doing? And welcome to day 5 of the 2025 Trading Congress. We've had a full week of focused education, market insights, practical guidance, all designed to help you become a better and stronger trader. This year, Trading Congress has been supported by our partners EdgeX and Weeks, who made this entire edition free for everyone. All the links can be found down in the description if you're watching this through YouTube. And if not, you can find information on our Bird Nest Twitter profile or X. Now, without further ado, because we're both a pair of talkers, one of my favorite people in the entire industry and one of my favorite human beings, love to introduce you all to Trader Dank. Dank, my brother, how you doing?
What's going on? It's so true what you said. We love to talk.
We do, man. I almost didn't write an agenda for this. Do you know what I mean? This is I think this is our 4th rodeo, right? I think our 4th
yeah. It's like, bro, like right now, like it's one of those ones. I haven't planned anything. I'm just gonna go with the flow and have a bit of fun. I came down last week, or was it last month? I was down.
Yeah, man, came down last month. We had a ride. So we've had some pretty good adventures over the years, haven't we? Funny enough, was talking to a really nice chap who came on the show yesterday, a chap called Mete, real university professor teaching people blockchain from the ground up. A really, really impressive guy who's Turkish. And we just had a great conversation about, the doors that this industry can open, right? You could spend 10, 15 years in traditional finance, in law, everything like that, right? But, I remember back to the first time you and I met in Paris, right? I just started working for the Bird Nest. All of a sudden, man, Crypto Bird comes in. Man, who we had there that night? I mean, there were so many people. Quentin Francois was in there, wasn't he as well?
Yeah.
It was.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I forgot who was there.
There's just the thing is, right? There's so many people, and there's so many legends that you get to meet out there. And funny enough, one of the shows coming up, another guy who we've both spent a lot of time with. In fact, we were out in Singapore together last year, Follis, right? And the industry just.
Follis, is he going to be on the show as well?
Man, he literally. We're bouncing from this show, then we got Follis on straight after. I told you, man, Friday is the day. Really, really nice guy. And we were talking yesterday with Mete about the importance of this kind of, the real networking side of any business, right? But also, especially in crypto, going to the conferences, meeting people, getting as much face-to-face time as you can, right? And you find that, online it can be a little bit of a toxic space sometimes, depending on what the market's doing, right? But you cut away the noise. Beautiful people. There really, really are some beautiful people. So with Maya,
even right now, there's a lot. I don't know if you've seen it. We're going to see Twitter beef all over again because the market is bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good sentiment read, though, right? I mean, like when you look at things like Crypto Twister. I mean, I know, you know, somebody both you and I hold in such high regard, you know, Trader SC, for example. Really, really good guy at poking Twitter in the right way to find out the sentiment that's out there. And people like,
100%.
you know, it's a really clever thing to do, because as you see that sentiment really start to turn, and look, don't get me wrong, we'll get into this down the line. This has been a tricky market. I don't think people expected this to go this way this year.
I never expected it myself. This is a tough one. It has been tough as well. But then you see, the thing is, right, like this market is like, if you're holding Bitcoin, you're laughing.
Yeah. But wasn't it one of those things where people this time around were underexposed to Bitcoin, overexposed to alts? And in previous cycles, maybe you could argue people had been the other way, holding on to Bitcoin too much too late.
The preparation on the whole of an alt cycle as well. But I was literally thinking about this. You know how we talk about the 4 stage of alt cycles? You got phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bro, we're in phase 1. It's just purely Bitcoin, nothing else but Bitcoin at the moment as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think it reflects a little bit, you know, it's the old adage, right? Because people turn around and they say things like, oh, okay, you know, this cycle's different. People say, no, the cycles aren't different. Dig yourself in, get in the trenches, find the tokens, hold the tokens. Yeah. Look, we're in an industry now where you've got 50 million tokens out there, right? I mean, you know, the first bull run for people like us, there were a few hundred. Like, I mean, that's a huge difference, right? A huge difference.
Did you ever, like, was you ever in alts, like in crypto in 2017?
Yeah. I mean, probably like my first really, but I was very light to the ground. I was feeling it out. I invested horribly. I didn't have the conviction. For me, coming from more of a traditional market background, I was seeing these like super high vol, you know, Ponzi's really, which everybody was calling it back in the day, right?
Even the websites were shit at the time in those days. See, remember that?
I mean, it had .com bubble written all over it, right? These companies getting these huge VC rounds funding, and you're like, oh, okay, what's your revenue? What's your earnings? And they're like, oh, but nothing. And you're like, man, this whole thing's going to zero, right? But there was just, I don't know, institutions, you know, or institutions maybe not being the right word, right? But the major players, your commercial entities, weren't going anywhere near crypto then. Maybe taking their first feel around Bitcoin, right? But no one was trading alts. So you had this kind of wild west of early stage speculators, you know, people going in. It almost felt like, you know, this young rebel group, right, that was standing up against traditional finance, and the people that were there early were making a lot of money, right? But then as the cycle started to mature, we were seeing less return, and then obviously you're getting those diminishing returns cycle on cycle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, like we might, you know, so just for everyone to be aware, right, we might be getting a real fundamental legend joining us today as well, Kazi, who's going to teach us. Yeah,
hopefully.
Trying to get on and join us, but if not, we're just going to rip technicals at you all day. So unfortunately, if you're on here,
that's fine with me, bro. Like, that's fine. I have messaged him as well, so I'm just waiting on a response. I'll send him the link.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. It's one of those things in this game. We're all very, very busy people, right? So, you know, it's always a blessing if you get anybody kind of.
I don't even know where the freaking day goes, if I'm being honest.
Where the what?
The day goes, you know, like, you know, you'll see, it just disappears.
It's absolutely crazy. So, I mean, it's one of those things. You get up in the morning, you're checking the markets, you're looking at that, you're engaged with the community, you're looking at your messages, planning out your trades. The trading sessions themselves are so intense, as you know, it's physically, mentally demanding, right? And you just find, you know, then the other great side about this industry is there's always good people to speak to. There's always somebody reaching out, you know, there's always interested people. And I think for me, the game is actually being efficient with your time. I find that probably the most difficult thing to do, right? I find myself just going down a million different rabbit holes.
Yeah, because I think what I was trying to do before was I was trying to trade like altcoins and Bitcoin and Ethereum, the whole lot as well. And obviously altcoin has been going down. So, but the easier play is just sticking to Bitcoin, you know, just like day trading it and even swing. I'm looking for a swing trade right now. I saw. I'm always a very, very keen observer. So Dank has got. Well, actually, just tell us a little bit about this. We're going to cover this all at the end, right? But obviously, Dank, I've been a long-term member of of Dank's Clubhouse, right? The CC. So it's slightly changed now as well. I've actually joined forces with Ghazi actually.
Yeah.
So everything that I was doing in my private Discord before, I now do it with him. So like I do the whole TA thing over there. So I've been with him for about a month now as well. It's been good. Yeah, it's been good as well. Yeah. So like, but he's very fundamental based as well. So he does all the whole
fundamental side, I do the technical side, and you put the two together, you got a good combination.
Mate, it's henceforth the title today, right? TA and FA, the perfect marriage, right? Because I've always had the blessing since I've been at TBN to work with some absolutely world-class fundamental analysts, right? So we've got a guy called KZM who's with us now, who's just the guy's so hot, so on it, deep in on chain. And before that, we had Chris, Crypto Assessor. You remember Chris?
The guy, right? Is he a young lad? Is he?
Of course he is. He's young, he's beautiful, he's talented. He's everything that I hate about this industry now.
No, because you know what it's like. Because look, I'm in my 30s, right? I'm like 34 now, right? And like personally, like, okay, I'm good at TA, but I know my limitations. The whole fundamental side, I don't really touch it too much as well. But like, and this is what it is for all these guys who are upcoming now as well. Like, you just gotta focus on one niche, right? And put your time into fundamentals. Yeah. Because fundamentals, if you can clock on fundamentals, you don't really need to trade, to be honest, as well. You can just get a position quite early on and then sell on the way up.
I mean, it's, they all have their pros and cons, right? Because like talking to, KZM and I, we've had amazing chats. One of the blessings for me is every Monday in the evening, we sit down as a whole team, the MA team, 6 of us, going really, really, really deep into thoughts on the market, never trying to influence one another. We all have our different ideas, our levels, our trade plans. We bring together fundamental analysis, technicals, looking at long-term, looking at macro, looking at legacy markets, on-chain, for example, and then just looking at what the kind of underlying narrative of the market is. And one of the amazing things about that is you sit there and you go, well, hang on, so say, look, like XMR, Monero, right? Now, KZM has been all over that for ages, saying, look, privacy is going to be a massive thing. ZEC has had its time, it's had its rip. It doesn't have anything like what the team have over at Monero, right? And this is why this is going to hold up. And if you look at the charts, it's basically inverting the crypto charts, right? So for me, I can take that information, I can keep that in the bank, I can add my technicals to it. And like you said, I can't afford to spend, I've spent, like 11 years overall in the trading industry, 7 years in crypto. I can't spend that in fundamental analysis. I'll be 50. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't.
That's true.
You need to find these guys that are really good, right? And I love that's what you've done over there. And I've heard some amazing things, some great feedback. And ultimately, one of the good things about this market, when it absolutely smashes you to pieces, is it often makes you innovate. You think, how can we be better versions of ourselves? How can we give a better product to our members, to people that we want to engage with? And I'm really excited to see what you guys have got to come, right? Because I think it's just it's a great marriage.
Because I know Kazi's actually working on something right now at the moment as we speak as well. It's like it's in the works right now, so there's not much to say. I mean, I can't really say too much about it, but
dropping a massive teaser there. I mean, come on.
It's one of those ones, like for those who wants to be in the trenches as well. It's a great place to. It's a great like tool to use. So gives you an idea because like, look, as an issue, I think with most people in crypto is that we want to make $1 million, very quickly. Depending on like whether how small our number is or how big our number is, the number $1 million is a very big number for all of us as well. But in the trenches, when they say you're in the trenches, right? The trenches is literally you're not making like from $500, you're not gonna make 50 grand. You're gonna make probably like $1 grand, $2 grand, but you accumulate that over time. You've got an account. You just knowing when to take profits a bit early. It's like there's a few things that we're working on, but it's like Kazi's mind is fucking sick. I gotta give it to him.
He is, man. So I've known ever since you introduced me to Kazi, or Kazi as I call him, probably misnaming him like everyone else. But he's always been so open. He's such a great mind. There's a lot that him and KZM share in common, actually. They're both just these young, super bright, super hungry, right? But they don't let the talents or the things that they've worked really hard for, it's all underpinned with a core of incredibly hard work. And just to kind of go back to what you said a minute ago, and I think this is so important, and this has kind of been a message that we've put across throughout Congress, which is people often come to crypto markets and just try and do everything, right? They'll look at crypto Twitter and they'll see like, the old school, like Willy Woo or someone, or Crypto Quant doing something on there. And they're just like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, okay, I'm going to do on-chain analysis. And then the next minute they see this flashy indicator that seems like it can never lose. And the next minute they want to learn price action. And then, do you know what I mean? People all of a sudden, and I always say to people, look, you can't keep everything niche, right? Look, just if you can keep yourself niche and focused and drive really deep into that, then what you can do once you've got that, once you've got a work in progress, you've got a strategy, right? You've got a way to make money, then broaden your horizons by all means, right? Or find really good people, communities to work with where you can get that plugged in.
That's the key bit. Yeah, no, you hit down the nail on the head as well, because it's like when I first joined in, right, like in crypto in 2017, you know, I remember Trader XO. This was XO wasn't who XO is today. This is XO.
No, you did tiny guy.
As well. Like we were all a bunch of nobodies in the original space in 2017, and you just build your name over time. But I don't think anybody like I can't speak for himself, but I don't think he foresaw that he was going to be a big name in the community itself as well.
I don't think the best ones do, though, right? I don't think they're going out with the objective of having loads of followers. I think if you look at XO, you look at SZ, you look at Adrian, right, Crypto Burb, right, you look at some of these names, and I don't think their motivation was ever, I want to have 1 million followers on Twitter. Their motivation was, this is my passion, I'm going to share, and the followers come to you, right?
Yeah. That's literally is what social media is as well. Like it's like what we're talking about, like in terms of fundamental and technical. Find a niche, because it's like English and maths. I hate English, right? I prefer
You're a maths boy, right? So I was the opposite. Enough, yeah.
Oh, he's an English person. I
hated maths.
I couldn't spell for shit. I was fucking dyslexic, bro.
But you know, this is the other thing I love, right? The amount of questions we get. And people saying, like, you know, what university did you go to? Did you study advanced mathematics? Was there any kind of quant understanding of you and stuff? I've never seen a space better than trading, and not just crypto, but like looking at the trading floors, looking at people like that step in and they just go like, yeah, what's your background? And they were like, I don't know, man. I was a teacher, and then all of a sudden I did this and I did this. And I pivoted into trading.
We actually know an influencer who was actually a teacher and still is.
Yeah, mate. One of our very good friends in the industry, right?
Yeah, we won't say his name to dox him,
no. Complete privacy, right? But not just the different backgrounds people come from, right? I mean, it's absolutely mad. We all come from different walks of life.
Do you know? Have you ever met Crypto Fundamentals?
No, I don't think I have. No.
He's also a big name, but he's a very fundamental guy as well.
Yeah.
And I've had him on the podcast once before as well. We were talking. I was asking about like, what's your background, and I believe he was a psychologist.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's this book, right, that a really dear friend of mine, Pedma7, who's one of the greatest people I've ever known. I had the pleasure of working with him for years. He builds algorithmic trading systems. He's an absolute G. Very calm guy, very methodical, super bright, right, as you can imagine. And kind of talking these things and that through with him, you know, that kind of path, what kind of background you come from, what are the things that attract you. And he said, look, man, he said, read this book, The Way of the Turtle. Right, and I recommend it to everyone. It's about these two famous traders, sissy traders, right? And one's opinion was traders were born, right? You were either born with it or you weren't, and you couldn't make a good trader, right? That you had to have those natural attributes. The other guy completely disagreed and said, that's rubbish. You can actually completely train anyone if you have the right application and they can understand the core material. So they took their highly effective winning trading strategy, right? And gave everyone really clear instructions. And it's a really simple strategy. I won't ruin the book for anyone, but super simple, like moving average breakout type strategy, right?
Yeah.
And they just said, look, this is what you do. When a stock has this breakout under these conditions, you long it. These breakout, these conditions, you short, right? And they took hundreds of people in from every walk of life, teachers, dog walkers, scientists, right? Everyone. And then they whittled them down to a small group. And this small group, everyone was an individual with a different background, all got this trading strategy and all the same instructions. And one person was super profitable. Most of them lost loads of money. And basically, I won't ruin the moral of the story, but it kind of links to what
you were saying. Like they were all profitable.
No, mate, you would think, if you basically trained a system to take those trades, everyone's making money. But what happens as humans is the grey matter gets in the way, right? The side of trading that just, you know, where your emotions start to dictate. And, you know, I've worked with people for a lot of years doing mentoring, you know, working with people. I work with 2 professional Forex traders, for example, who have become really good friends over the years. And they would both be the first people to openly tell you that technicals are something they almost never need to work on. What they need to do is they need that reminder to either not go too hard, so overconfidence, right, versus underconfidence. You know, so I'd say you're one of the best range traders I've ever come across. I've taken a lot from you over the years, right? And if we get time at the end,
gassing me up, bro. Come on, you're gassing me up, yeah.
We got to tell the story about Johnny and the pizza at some point.
Yeah, drummer, fucking your mom.
No, don't. So the amount of times I tell people the baseline of this story on my shows, right, when I'm talking about a range, and then tell them I'm like, I can't tell you.
You still remember that?
Mate,
I that was fucking 21, that was.
Mate, I know, but come on, man, it's such a damn good story. But basically, because we're before the watershed, what I'm going to say to the viewers is the story is based on the fact that, look, if you're leaving a range, yeah, and you're leaving a point of compression, you're leaving a range because there's a breakout, right? A lot of the first thing people have always come back to me and said, well, how do you know if it's a breakout or if it's a deviation, right? And every time I still hear deviation, it's still SC's voice, right?
Yes, that's right.
Just deviation, right? Deviation, bruv. And they're normally putting out a cigarette back in the day.
That's right.
It's as it climbs back in the range, the idea is you're playing strength and weakness, right? The reason I want to go on to this is because, like, I really want people to pick up a few bits from you, right? Because it was really important for me when I was coming out of traditional markets, learning about crypto. Crypto was a very different animal to trade. Forex back in the day, relatively small, suited arguably trend following systems a little bit more. You were trying to find the currencies that were in a strong trend against other currencies, or you were playing things like the carry trade. It was very different, right? And you just had this great understanding, you guys, and you, SC, EXO, that kind of stable of really deep technical analysts, right, that really understand things like that. So when you're looking at a range, right, the whole premise of this story is that if you're looking at a true breakout of a range, you're looking at compression within the market, prices seeking new value somewhere else, right? So, you're either playing the compression or the expansion. Now, what is it like with ranges? Because I still, even for someone like me, right, sometimes I'll still see some of your TA and be like, fuck, how did you find such a clean range there, right? And I think I'm looking at a 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hours. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, man.
I don't know. Do you know what it is, bro? That's. I've been in this game in crypto since 2017, so we're going 8 years now, right? Mm-hmm. And I've been properly, like when I say, when you first start, you don't know shit. You think you know, so you draw a couple of lines and you think you've got something. It's a magic, right? And I remember in 2018, obviously, I joined SC's class as well back in the early days, and in those days there was only 70 people.
Yeah, I was in there early on MetaTrader. I didn't even know you then, right? You were doing all the FX stuff on MetaTrader, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's how early it was as well. And I used to watch him, to be honest. The truth was, I used to watch him, and he would explain it, right? But like, even the explanation doesn't make sense because I think what it was making sense in his head. Yeah. So now, So then I used to actually watch him and then like try to understand what he's trying to explain. And over time, I'm like, okay, ranges can be found in different time frames, and that was my biggest factor that I think it took me a little while to learn as well. And then like, so I'd go on a higher time frame, and it's just looking for a candle that caps the market to the upside and the downside. And all you're doing is when it comes into resistance, you take a short, and then when it comes to support, you take a long. So you've got your set, your set take loss, like stop loss as well. You got make sure, and also it's a lot of practice. It was over practice as well. And I think I got better at it by 20. I mean, you remember from 2018 to 2021. By 21, So 3 years of non-stop practicing as well. Like, because sometimes you do a range right, you think it's the right range, and these were the early days, and like it's go lower, and you're like, what the fuck? Okay, it's a breakout, but it's not a breakout. It's actually I missed the true range. Yeah. And then you said, but ultimately, there's a massive learning curve there, right? And one of the things that I really wanted to do, I mean, I don't know if you're happy to or not, or if you're prepared in any way, because we just decided we were going to shoot the breeze for this one, right? But have you got like a little chart or something you can maybe show people how you would look at like setting a range? Okay. Let me show my screen. Yeah. Let me share my screen once again.
Because that'd be really, really cool, man. I mean, I would love to know. I remember, I think it was, hang on, let me just add this bad boy on there. I think when I was new to them, when I first really got to know Dank, and we would chat away about this, and it just always used to make me laugh, like we'd just be on there really quick and just bang, 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 right, here's the range, here's the thing, this is the deviation, we're short in this level. And the conviction used to absolutely slay me, man. I was just like, okay, man.
But when it comes to ranges, for example, like, okay, I mean, there's two ranges. There's going to be a range over here, and there's going to be another range over here somewhere, right? So the way I look at it is simply like, when you're looking at price action, price is always capped. There's always a range. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Even when he was going up and down, then going lower, right? There's a range. There's a range somewhere. Think, how was your trading style change over the years? What have you changed and why?
Nice. That's a good question there from Erica. Go on with what you're doing now, mate. But we'll absolutely come back to this at the end.
Yeah, we'll come back to that 100%. So, like, I mean, before I would mark out something like this high over here, then I would look at this low over here. You know, that's what you mark. But I think for the best way is, like I said, go higher time frame. So, like, for example, like the quarterly, and you can start to see that this whole there's a compression. Like you were talking about compression and expansion as well. There's a compression from this very high over here and this very low over here. And all it is like you can see it's just ping pongs. That's what it is. You got a deviation, which is what SE would talk about over here. And then the question is this a deviation or is it a breakout? And the truth is, from any particular point you're looking at for when it comes to breakouts, like for example, if we break above this high, that means structures higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? And so that'll be that'll be your play out. It's here, and here we are. Like you play on the breakout to the upside, and as we can see, we use previous ranges and we've broken out. And the next question is it going to retest off this area here, or is there another range in this particular area here that's capping the market up? And then like. So when I'm looking at this, right, this one is a very difficult range to actually build up, like the recent ones over here, because you're like, okay, what do you mark? You mark out this high over here, and then this low, and then it makes you feel a bit more bearish to go towards 60K into this level here, you know, which I think, like, if it was going to go down lower, there'll be telling signs on how it would be go down lower. Then within ranges, you need to have key levels. So. Key levels will be, I think, the most important one for me out of all things. Let me just remove those two lines. Is the yearly open, because this is 2025's yearly open, right? So, nope, that's wrong. That's wrong. Right here, that's it. Yearly open. So now the question is, like, to work out the if so, there's a range being built over here, and if this was to break down, then you play it down to the midpoint, and then from the midpoint down to the range low. And that's how you would look to play the range within this area here. But then the next key point is, I think this is what most people would want to, like, I'm hoping for too as well, is holding above the yearly open. So, and if you play within the yearly open, then you play within this level here between 93K towards 108K. And that'll be your range to play within this bound over here. And then if we do break out, we will start making higher highs, especially taking out this high will give us very clear, or it would just end up doing some sort of deviation, stepping back in, playing it back within the range of the yearly open. And then we lose the yearly open, play for lower prices again.
Yeah. And what I love about it is, you know, you remove a lot of the complexity. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of nuance in this. And like anything, the best people that do this make it seem very, very easy, right? But one thing that I've always found very clean about technicals is that, you know, there's a line in the sand, right? There's an area you're looking at. I think one of the things most people get wrong is they're either too keen to enter or exit trades, which hurts either, you know, stop loss or hurts your profit. I think one of the things that I find the most is people not being willing to have the patience to wait for price to engage with a key level. Or, for example, to have the conviction to say, look, we've stepped back in the range now. The rules are really simple. If we're back in the range, we're targeting lower in this instance, right? And then you're waiting for that reaction. So how do you then decant that down onto lower time frames, right? You're taking the higher time frame levels and then you're looking at your ranges with inside ranges.
So, okay, so this is what I've got another chart. This chart's probably the best one here as well. So obviously keep it really simple. Obviously, I've already spoken about the range is high and the range is low, all that kind of stuff, right? We're stuck in the range. Now, going into the more finer details, I've got my key level, which will be the yearly open. That's always going to be number one that in all my charts will have to have it. So I know the fuck I'm looking at, because if we find resistance here, that's not good. If we get above and find support, then that's good for longs. Resistance is shorts, right? So that's that. Now, to look for the finer details on where to long and what time frame is best to find the range when you're trading, it varies, right? For example, like you would have. So, for example, if I was to look at the quarterly, which I was explaining, right, it's a very strange range that you've got, right? So you've got, again, you got this high over here, this very high caps the market, and then you got this low here. The midpoint is where we're at, right? That's where we bounce off it as well. So you're playing from the high to the mid. If we lose the mid, you play from the mid towards the low, but we didn't lose the mid there. So you're looking for support. So this is where you're looking for that finer details, and then you mix it up with this now. So you go on to the weekly, for example, right? Let me just hide all that. So the weekly. So this is where the price action was coming in. You know, we made a higher high, made a higher low, and then we start making a higher high. Now, structure is quite the key point. So which means to me that this low has to hold if it was to be bullish. So higher highs, and that will be the higher low. And we're trying to look for a higher high if there is a higher high, right? And then, of course, the open is going to be the key thing. Now, I've started looking at, for example, all the blocks. So the last down candle is in the market back up, which will be this level here. And that's where we're finding support right here. So that tells me, okay, we've got something to play off with. And all I'm looking for is finding support, reclaiming the yearly open, which will be here. And then I know I can actually easy take longs, right? But then to refine this, there's a little block over here. To refine that bit here, obviously that's the weekly order block. On the daily, I've got another order block right here. So it's literally that high is the last, very, very last down candle right there.
Yeah.
And that's order block. And then we literally just whipped off it. So then, like, you know, when you were saying like, how do you actually like capture those like tight opportunities? It's just placing auto blocks. Okay, when he was breaking structure and he was going back down low, you're like, all right, then you can't knife. I was trying to knife catch it, and I've got stopped out. Yeah, plenty of times. You know, especially when this low here, because I was looking for a range. This was a range to me again. It's like this low over here, and this high over here. Yeah. So obviously I was like, okay, let it do a deviation, step back in, right, and then I can start looking for longs. But I was taking longs over here, and I kept getting stopped out. I'm like, bastard.
See, I got crushed on a few as well because of that. The consolidation in May, right? Back in May, we had the big pump off that, like you say, the order block, the demand area at the lows. Then we set this tiny little consolidation, had this massive rip, and I was like, do you know what? I think that's really where it goes. And price kind of held there a little bit. And then I was like, right, this is where I need to pull the trigger because I think this is going to get back above that low that you marked. Yeah. Then obviously you're, you know, as we're looking at it, you're bringing in yearly open bits and pieces like that.
Of course.
But, it's super interesting. So how do you? So then, you know, if you're now taking this on to, you know, a time frame lower, how do you then take that further?
How do I take this further down lower?
Yeah, just more in terms of like, so Michael said here, when you're trading, chasing live movement, how far do you go back in the time frame? And I think what that really kind of comes down to is, so obviously you've got like all the ICT stuff, which people are really kind of probably quite au fait with. And I know he comes in for a lot of criticism. Look, I mean, look,
I don't know if it's my connection, but I just lost connection from you for a moment there.
Oh, it might be me, mate. I think actually it will be all right. I'll continue rambling for a second. I'll get Taha to check in the background if you can, please, mate.
In terms of actually going into like in breaking down the time frame as well. So like, okay, so we said structure, right? So obviously in the higher time frame structure, for example, let's go back to the monthly, right? Structure wise, well, fuck it, that's too far. Let's go on the weekly, right? You can see the structure is bullish, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? And then like when I go onto the daily, right, the structure shifts within this area here. So of course, right here is higher highs, higher lows, highs, lows, highs. And then it
so you're looking for the origin of that change, right? That's what you're putting a lot of weight on.
Yeah. So now, right now, like the structure, it's shifted. It's shifted from the higher highs. On the daily, it's making it runs these highs, then it makes a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and it keeps working down. So one way you can do it, right, is that now you're going to, if you're reading this and you're like, structure's broken down, and I'm on the 4 hours now, and you're like, okay, so this high has to hold. We run these highs, find resistance. You know, you add a trend line here to give us confluence to go for lower lows, and that will be a trigger right here. For example, around here will be a trigger where you stop loss to go for lower. But if you want to time it, right, for example, now, like let's go on the lower time frame. Like I personally missed it right? So I missed all this leg down here because I was trying to actually long the bottom, trying to time the bottom when the structure was wrong, right? Structure was already bearish on lower time frame. I have to go with it. So then when it came to timing the bottom over here, obviously this is the 4 hours, and what you got here, you got the high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and lower high, right? So break this down the 4 hours, $9,400 tells us 4 hour structure shifted. But then if I go down on lower time frame, it'll be a different time. It'll be telling me a different number. So then again, same thing, but we got more lower lows, right? So we got this lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Even here's a lower low. That's a lower high. That's a lower low. So telling me if I break above here instead of 9,400, which is here, on the 1 hour, it's bullish structure. So this area here is telling me that, okay, we have a shifter structure. And then I keep going down. And before you know it, I'm down on the 15 minutes, right? Looking at this bastard here. And then I go down into the fucking 5 minutes. Now check this out. So like the 5 minutes is where it gets interesting. So you got loads of fucking candles, right? I mean, one of the easiest ways is building a trend line. So you got like this trend line over here is telling me, well, that's low. Oopsie daisy, let me do this again. That's the lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. That's the lower high, and we make the lower low. So if we break this high, now we're talking about $8,400 instead of $9,400. And then what I'm doing now is like, okay, cool. So we've starting to shift the structure over here, right? If it's going to go higher, this low has to hold. And I'm looking for a range now. So this is where I now look for a range. I'll probably go up a time frame. I think it was on the 15-minute. So yeah, on the 15-minute, I got this high over here and this low over here, right? Choosing one candle, and the mid-range was around here, okay? So when you find resistance here, I'm like, okay, let it come back down. Either it comes back down to this area here, or and then go lower low, or it finds support and I look for a long here. So then it was coming down. I was like, okay, let it come to the mid range. It never came to the mid range. So the moment it broke this high and got above, the retest is where I was looking for a long with a stop loss here, and I'm just playing it for higher prices on lower time frame. And then now you literally just following structure. So now you're looking for as long this low holds in place, you're good to go. And you can see it goes higher. And then now you're looking for the next low. That's the next low to hold in place. And it goes up higher. And now we've got another low over here, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, super, super interesting. I think one of the things, again, a little kind of harking back to what we were talking about earlier, is patience, right? I think, we look at this on the chart, right? And you're kind of like, as happens when you back test or you look with any historical data, you're kind of like, yeah, that's fine. Like here's the low, here's the high. It's how many people have the patience to sit there for 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, 12 days to wait for those levels to be engaged. Yeah, because the other thing is as well, right? Let's say, for example, like this, right? You're waiting for the price to come lower to get those opportunities to move higher because you've built your higher time frame context. You've set the low on the chart and you're saying to yourself, look, hold above this. We're looking for higher prices, right? Keeping that in your mind, by the time you wait to take that trigger, if we look at the last leg down before the pump, what's on the chart now, most people are then feeling pretty bearish at that point, right? Because, you're focused too much on that localized low time frame structure.
Yeah, they're looking at this area here, right? They're like, all right, then that's your deviation here, but not following the structure itself that it's so far. So because this low has to hold. If we lose this low, then it's shifting down. Yeah. So, and all of a sudden, we just had a fucking fast pump on a Sunday night, and I went to bed happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly that. All right. Well, look, we've got maybe about 5-6 minutes left, right? What I'd love to do is we've had a few really cool questions come in. There's one I'd love to field, first of all, from Erica, and then there's a couple of people on here, Fox 4X and Mayfair X, who are asking if we have some chart request time, right? So I think let's maybe keep it down to one chart request, because obviously, just so we do it within the time, let's maybe look at Bitcoin. I think it's an interesting one, or ETH, whichever you prefer. But first of all, regarding Erica's question, right? How's your trading style changed over the years? Like, what have you changed and why? And this is an interesting one because from my perspective, you've always been one of the most consistent people out there in terms of your technicals. You, XO, obviously SC, really you don't drift far from it. But I still think it's a really good question. Maybe what adaptations have you made, or was there kind of something that really kind of was a light bulb moment?
Do you know what it is? I'll tell you something, right? It's like when I first started, so what we talked about in the stream as well at the very beginning, like when I started, I was so focused on about freaking trying to master everything, like 6, 7 different skills. You see, and the problem is when you spend your time on YouTube, right, you go down a fucking rabbit hole. And that can be dangerous. It can be great, and it can also be dangerous. It's like going to conspiracy theories. I love a good old conspiracy theory, but I don't want to worry about reptilians at my fucking door. You know what I mean? There's a limit to something as well. So like, yeah. So if you go down that rabbit hole too much, you start seeing someone do something that's too that makes it look easy, and you want to copy that. And it's not about copying it. You gotta, like, I think for me, like my style over the years, where I learned that I'm good at one thing, and my thing is I'm good at ranges, so I can pick a range, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are other people who are really good at Wyckoff charts. I don't fucking understand it, but
yeah,
you know, I'm not gonna comment on something I don't know in it.
Yeah, but in the same vein, don't you think it's important to have an understanding of, let's put it this way, right? To have an understanding about the niche that you're in.
Oh, let me see your face, man. I miss your fucking face. Put it on there.
Yeah, okay. The faces are coming back on. All right, we're going to find some room at the bottom of that. We'll find some room down here. Yeah? Just don't do too much TA bottom left. All right.
Yeah, that's all good. Yeah. At least I can see you. I can see who I'm talking to now. I'm all like
that. Let me get rid of that so we can. There we go. We've got full face now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So okay. So if we were to say it like this, then right. Was there a light bulb moment for you? You committed really early, right? Once you got past that point of trying to, fire arrows everywhere and hit multiple targets, you were like, so for me, probably a better way to frame it, the epiphany that I had is it really spoke to me when I understood trading level to level. That's why SC was such an inspiration for me when I was trading Forex, because it's an industry where there's so much complication in it because of the way the swaps are working, the way that you've got arbitrage plays, the ways that you have the carry trade in Forex. So actually the technicals are a relatively small part of that. You're much more basing it on news, fundamental drivers, right? But technicals are what really excited me about trading. So when I really got that concept of, okay, look, this is what's capping the market, upside, downside, right? What my job is now is to ascertain, are we showing weakness at supply, strength at demand, for example, or are those areas that should be capping the market, are we blowing through those so that resistance wall isn't there now and then we're kind of coming back? Was there a moment for you where you were like, this is it for me, I now understand this is the type of trader I'm going to be?
Yeah, it came on quite late, to be honest. I didn't know I was a good range trader till quite late. Do you know because I know you was telling me like I'm a good range trader as well, and like I understood it, but I didn't think truly that I was good at it. Do you know when it clocked on, when I realized, oh shit, I think I'm onto something? It was in fucking 22. So in 22, let me show you this on the quarterly. So do you remember when I actually showed you this chart over here, right? And I was saying,
I remember we were looking at this live, man. Or me and you were together looking at this,
Yeah. So this over here, I had an idea, right? Like this was the high, and that was the low, and all this bullshit here. So when he came into, so obviously I was looking for I was trading lower time frame for bullishness. I know SC got on, like SC was one of the very few people who was quite bullish. I know Bear was bullish at around 16.
Yeah. Mate, Adrian's been exceptional. Bottoms, tops. He's got this real read. I mean, he's like SC. They're very technically well-trained traders as well, right? And I completely agree with this chat. SJS International.
Who the fuck is that guy?
You are looking so dashing while smoking. I know there's health concerns, right? But you can't deny how sexy some people look smoking, right? I'm not saying it's worth your life. Kids, if you're watching this, it's not worth your life, right? But I'm just saying. Just saying, some people it suits, right? Sorry, brother. All right, well, look, let's cap this off, and then we got a couple of minutes. I really want to get your thoughts on Bitcoin, right? So, but this is important.
What's my thought on Bitcoin?
Yeah, if we can, we got a couple of minutes left, man. I would love to get you on this, but
I'll be honest with you. It's what I don't think nobody expects this, but I'm bullish on Bitcoin still.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think 2026 there's a lot to be bullish on.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a good. I see the things we haven't had an alt run. I think everyone's looking for that 3-year cycle, 3-year up, 1 year down. In reality, that's never been alt. So if you look at your Solana, it never had a 3-year up. You had a 1 year up. So in reality, when it comes to when is alt season, what Black Inner was saying is, I think 2026 we're going to have a run. I think 2026. The question is it going to be as great as 21? I don't think it will be.
I think it's
21 was as great as 17.
But it's almost that the rule of diminishing returns, right? The more players you have, the more exposure to a market, the more saturated the market gets. Look, you're talking about something that was basically like an emerging market is now a stabilized economy. That's how you look at, I'm not talking about altcoins, but just the space in general. There's major players in this space now. And ultimately, the bigger the players, the more exit and entry liquidity they need. So the markets start to move a lot more like traditional market assets because of the players that are involved. But it doesn't mean that there's not still those super normal upside opportunities.
But you see, if you look at Total One, right, which is just the total market of just Bitcoin, we're not talking about the price of Bitcoin, right? Yeah, there's like $3.1 trillion in Bitcoin right now as it is. That's really good. But like these BlackRock players itself, right, I don't think they're going to sell heavily at this right so early on at 3.1.
Agreed.
Because they need to trick the market, and that's what it is. And because the retail hasn't even stepped in, dude. There's no retail.
Yeah, but I mean, they got obliterated, didn't they? I mean, most people, right? I mean, the massive flash that we had, in October, most people kind of taken out of the game. Big reset coming in. I think the market probably a little bit overreacted to concerns about this AI bubble, waiting for the NVIDIA earnings. A lot of those things were kind of floating around. And ultimately, when the major markets de-risk and they're the ones that are controlling it, and then ultimately they kind of start to remove themselves, things can really absolutely rip. Yeah, you did it. I mean, here.
No, it's like what Fox Forex is saying. Like we learn technicals just so we can focus on the chart. Because the truth is,
sometimes that suits. I think people that had probably traded the charts and removed the noise, in the last few months, have probably traded this better than anyone.
Yeah, absolutely as well. Because like, you must have heard of Honey XBT?
Yeah.
Yeah. She called Solana at like freaking like $8.
Yeah, she's had some absolute, absolute.
As well. Called the lows, and then here we are. Like well, at the moment it's like $140, but it went to $260. So
yeah, but I mean, I think she's a good example of someone else. So there's an amazing woman in the space called Dentoshi. I don't know if you've come across her. One of the best moving average traders I've ever seen. And I think if you look at someone like Honey, you look at Dentoshi, you look at Adrian, you look at SC, I still think you look at yourself, you look at EXO. I think one of the clearest things about all of you guys and girls is that you are 100% committed to a system and style that you deeply understand. There's no kind of, well, I'm going to do this today. No. It either suits the system, suits the style, hits the technicals, or you're not involved in it, right? It's as simple as that. But it all takes a lot of patience, doesn't it? So, I mean, you're bullish Bitcoin, right? Look, let's just, we need to close this down in a couple of minutes, right? But just throw me not just for me, but for the people that are watching. What's your short-term play here on Bitcoin? What levels are you watching? What's got your eye in terms of somewhere you want to be involved in this?
So you said ranges, right? I'll show you a range, right? It's a channel range. This is like the range I've got over here. So I've got my eyes on this, right? So let me just bring it down onto like a daily, right? So you guys can see. So what you've got here is literally the low over here. All this was support. And that's again proven to be support. I didn't even pick up this high. Pick this high, and the midpoint tells me that's the deviation. Deviation goes up to resistance. You can see how it is, right? If we are going to be bullish, if like we need to reclaim the yearly open at 93, 94k, and I would start to look towards to go up towards like 135k, and then we'll see what happens with that. Because I don't think we're going to do this. I don't think so, right? I think we have. It's not like 2017 or 2021 kind of Bitcoin where it's explosive as possible. I think what it is, institution has capped it. So the volatility in terms of explosion is not going to be as great as it once was. But I think 135k, and if alt can behave and play something, and if Bitcoin gets down below, play it back within the range until proven otherwise.
And from there, that's where we might see. I still think in this market, you still have a bit of a flight to quality with the alts. You need to find good projects, good earnings, good teams, vibrant communities. It's not going to be like it was, but Bitcoin starts reclaiming some levels and starts to chill out, and we see that capital start to rotate into the lower caps. Obviously into the highs, mids first.
If we the longer we take to grind up, and we are going to be bullish, we can get to like 140k, like in April, May time as well. But
for sure.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Like we all want an alt run, but I think alt runs will only be clear on a reclaim of this, a break above these highs here. Let me do on weekly. So like, it's like if you look at the previous alt run, right? Obviously, once everything got very, very bullish, right? Once we broke above 2018's high, and that was around February, March, and that's when we had a stupid run there. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but all I'm saying is that high is capping the market. So resistance over here, and we're capped within this range bound environment over here. So if we do break out, we can get an alt run, but it's a tricky one though, isn't it?
Oh man, it's for a lot of different reasons that unfortunately we don't have time to go into. But what I absolutely would say is that at least we're coming to support maybe on the total. It looks like we're coming, at least we're approaching range lows now, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing is, I know everyone is so down in the dumps right now, but it could be a lot fucking worse, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It could be a lot worse than this as well. This is bad, but yeah, we got some time. We can make it up. Yeah.
It's not that bad, right? I love it. I love it. Right, brother, we're gonna have to cap this here. I'm absolutely gutted to do it, but thank you so much for coming on. We had some amazing guests over the time, but honestly, it's been just such a joy to have you.
It's been an absolute thing. Are we in a bear trend? I don't think we're in a bear trend just yet. I don't think so just yet. If there is going to be a bear trend, like with BTC, I mean, like I said, if that was the higher low, we can't lose this level here.
Yeah, so very similar. I think that's it. That consolidation there is going to hold the key and that low to a lot. And before you know it, you're then straight into that range before the breakout, right? So it's difficult to short these plays late in the market, right? I think it's weakness from higher up, or you're looking for strength from lower down. But look, guys, we're going to share all of Dank's details. Make sure you get over, make sure you're following him, make sure you get onto Twitter, find out what he's doing, be involved with that. We're super excited for everything that's happening with you and Kazi, brother. We're really looking forward to hearing some more of that. And hopefully we'll get a few more of these in the diary for next year.
No,
We've threatened it for a while, right?
I'll come down to your place soon as well.
Yeah, we'll get that in, man. We'll do one live from Casa BC on the terrace.
On your podcast on our own,
Awesome, man. Thank you, an absolute legend, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, make sure you follow this legend. Dank, I'll catch you soon, brother.
See you later, brother. Take care.
What an absolute dude. One of my favorite people, like I said. And obviously we've overrun. Yes, Jack, yes, as our Polish friends would say, it's just too good to not have a little bit of extra time in there. Hopefully you found the show really, really interesting, certainly as interesting as I did. And, if you're going to follow anybody in the industry, make sure you're following the very best of them. So, look, we are going to ping from now. We're in another show in a couple of minutes with Follows, which I'm super excited about as well. Another really, really dear friend of mine. And again, one of the very best people in this space, in my opinion. Black Friday deal is live, everyone. You can find details in the description if you are watching this through YouTube. You can find all the information over on our Twitter profile as well, and do make sure to give Dank a follow. And if you can't find his details anywhere, you can reach out to me and I'll happily share them. Have a fantastic day ahead, and we'll see you in a few minutes for another